Welcome, everybody. And today we have three brilliant authors. Is Professor Allen here? Professor Allen Dickinson.
He's here by voice, not photo.
Professor Allen Dale Dickinson has published 40 books. 40. Can you imagine? In my opinion, he's a humorist. He says he's a child book author, and it's about a private investigator, mostly Charlie, his supposedly children's book about a private investigator in Los Angeles. But the most amazing thing about Professor Allen Dale Dickinson's book, as I'm reading along, guess what? I'm in his book. So it made the book really special to me. So go ahead, Allen. Let's listen to what you have to say about publishing 40 books.
First of all, I'd like to start out by saying a little shout out to Peggy and Sunshine. They do so much for us. And also Nancy and Phil. Phil's sleeping on his sofa, it looks like. And he's waving. Phil's one of the best rock and rollers in the Laguna woods. The guy's incredible. I'd like to start out by reading just a couple of my short little prose and sonnets. And I'll continue until Sunshine brings the hook out and drags me off stage. This item is entitled Homage to Ron Edwards. There was a great man, and he truly and sorely is missed. He was also a great husband to Peggy and a wonderful father, and a best friend to playmate to Chula and Boots. Some would say, well, they're just cats, but they miss dear Ron too, just like Lynn and I do. He had a great career, and he had several passions and interests too. He did many different things during his lifetime down here, and he did them all well. He was a multi-talented guy and quite gifted too. One more thing, least I forget, Chula and Boots loved to climb up on the roof. The only problem was they forgot how to get off. And Ron had to go up on a ladder and go down and bring them down. When our good friend Ron looks down on us, he sees his beloved Peggy and the kids are still carrying on just as we would want them to do. Next I have, can everybody still hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. This Nancy called one of my little humorous ones. It's called Busy the Rabbit. Once upon a time, a little rabbit pet who soon became a needed habit. Her name was Nicky Lynn Busy. Yes, that was it. And she possessed a very sharp wit. She loved to be petted and rubbed. She would flopsy mopsy to be nudged. She was cute as a button, but she could be a handful and a glutton. Her name is Busy. She's a princess. And her playfulness is a witness. She loves her special treats, and she knocks people over to get at her eats. Like I said, Busy is rabbit royalty, and she knows what the word means. That is loyal. She has two good friends to play with. Boots, Chula, share their toys they give. Busy likes to visit Peggy, Boots, and Chula often. Peggy really loves cats and rabbits because they look like cotton. Cotton tails, fuzzy nails, and sharp little teeth, teeth which they can constantly eat. Now, that's the end of that one.
Alan, how is it that you published 40 books? Have you gone across the spectrum in genres? How do you come up with your covers?
Thanks for asking. I tell people when they ask me, I have in my little brain, I on the creative side, I open the barn door and I let all the horses run wild, and so they tell me what to write, and I get bored very easily. So I don't write, as you mentioned, in one genre. I write in several different ones.
You've written books about how to publish, right?
Yes.
And what's your best advice? Do you have that book available? You could show it. Could you show us that book? And also, what's your best advice about publishing? Do you always use Amazon, KDP, or have you tried vanity presses, or did you get an agent?
I need to get an agent. I haven't yet. I got several years ago. I got a publisher who made some money off my early books, but I didn't make it. She made money, but I didn't. So that was about the time that CreateSpace, the predecessor to KDP, came about. So I've been independently publishing with them for the last almost 10 years.
Wow.
Actually, I have 60 books now.
Oh,
Wow.
so what do you publish once a week?
Now that may sound like bragging, but it isn't, because they're not really great books. But one thing about me, I'm very prolific.
Obviously, you are.
No, Phil went to sleep. Somebody wake up Phil. He's asleep.
Alan, which book would you recommend the most of the books you've written?
Probably one of the Charlie books that you've always been real complimentary, and you've helped me edit several. And I have about 14 now that are take parts in various parts of the world, and that's Charlie, Warner, Kennedy, Charlie O'Brien. He's an Irish laddie, and he loves St. Paddy's Day.
Yeah, that's it. They're very funny. Have you ever helped anyone else publish?
Yeah, 4 or 5 people. Hi, Lorraine.
Hey.
So,
Good to see you.
are you making a ton of money?
Making money?
Yeah.
Money? What is money? Writing is like all of the great authors that we have. It's our passion and our hobby. I think there's 1 or 2 of fellows. I forget if it's Scott or maybe Michael. A couple of fellows have made some good money, but most of the rest of us are still struggling.
True. So, where did Charlie come from? How did you create Charlie? Charlie
Char-
O'Brien.
Charlie is my alter ego. He's my anti-hero, because I say anti because most people know what a hero is. An anti-hero is someone who is not perfect and makes a lot of mistakes and stumbles along through life kind of like I do.
And he's a private investigator. And do you
Yes.
take him all over the world?
Yes. Yeah, he's been to Italy, France, England. He's even been to the Middle East.
Russia, right?
Oh, yes. He barely got out of Russia alive.
Yeah, I recommend Charlie's books. You want to put, Professor's books, want to put a smile on your face. He's very good. But
Thank you.
also his books on how to publish. And now we know who to go to when we want to publish a book. Who does your covers?
I use theirs. Frankly, I'd like to do my own covers, but I don't know how. I'll have to get Nancy to help me someday to help me with my covers. But I have they have a very good selection of covers to select from their library, and I've always found enough to not exactly like I'd like to have, but pretty close.
That's KDP, right?
Yes. Yes.
Right. Are you satisfied with KDP?
Yes, absolutely. I think Create Space was actually better because they weren't as big, but these people do a good job.
So you recommend it?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Peggy, Peggy, this is Fred Cantor.
Yes.
I just wanted to add to Alan's comment about KDP and the covers, because KDP Amazon is what we used for my Nick's memoir. And I originally was going to have an outside cover design by someone else, but to echo what Alan was saying, they really have a tremendous choice of mix and match, and fonts and everything else. And I'm not that tech savvy, but I was able to put something together incorporating a photo that I had supplied. It was a personal photo, and I've gotten a lot of great comments or compliments about the cover. So it's really professional looking. So I'm seconding what Alan said, and what I want to encourage people to think is that you don't really need to be a professional or even a tech expert to try working with the KDP covers on your own. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you.
I know that both Phil and I have designed our own covers because they have a template. They make it really easy. Download the template, and if you have any kind of program like Word that you can build something, you can build your own cover.
That's real good information. And Alan, one more short poem and time's up.
We got time for one more, or you want to go?
One more short one.
Okay. Let's give you Living in the Woods. Once upon a time, there was a man named Alan, and he lived out in the nice woods, Laguna Woods Village to be precise. He and his lovely and tall spouse liked it there because of all of the big oak trees and lots of green grass, and also because the people were so nice. They had funny little squirrels running hither and fro. Also, they had cute little bunny rabbits hip hopping all around every place you go. Yes, Alan loved the woods, and he wants you all to know that VMS really knows how to put on a show at the Performing Arts Center. Also, there were some bad guys living in the woods, namely vicious coyotes, who are not very nice, you see, because they chase the sweet little bunny rabbits and squirrels until they ran up an old tree. They are always pitching and patching the roads and the streets to make them look better, also for us to avoid potholes. Whether you live in a condo, a co-op, or an SFR, you get to use all of the many excellent amenities because they belong to us all. If you have something break in your house, they're getting older, you know, just like us, please do not dismay or worry, because VMS will come and call and fix as quick as a flash. Yes, a man named Alan lived out in the woods. Thank you, Peggy.
Thank you, Professor Alan Dale Dickinson. And we're going to buy so many books of yours, we're going to make you rich.
Oh, I like to hear that.
I want to say something about the professor. He really helped me by encouraging me to self-publish. And I want to show you, I did one book, got another one, a children's book, and I have another book coming along the way. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for all you've done.
You're welcome, Lorraine. It's good to see you. You're one of my best students ever.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Maggie,
Yes.
this is Nancy. I'd like to try something to show everybody. Sunshine has made me co-host, and what I'm going to do is screen share. Hopefully this will work. And I'm going to take you to the website. Let's see, where this is our, can you see the website?
Yes.
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 Okay, so this is the home page. If you go to books and scroll down, you will see Professor Alan Dale Dickinson, his photo and some pictures. If you click on that link right there, it will take you to Amazon with a listing of all of the books that he was talking about that he had published, along with a little blurb about them. And we're trying to make this happen. The website right now is under construction, if you will. And I just clicked on it while Professor was talking, and this is really a wealth of information. So if you want to learn more about, let me see how I can get out of this. Maybe the stop share.
There you go.
Got it.
But anyway, you know, going on to the website for any of our authors that are speaking today, you'll be able to see the books and learn a little bit more about them.
Thank you, Nancy.
Sure.
That's great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Was very nice.
Okay. And I can do that for, you know, whoever the next author is. Who is the next one? By the way, thank you so much, Alan, for your contributions to our club and your readings today. Thank you.
Well,
You're welcome.
yes, thank you, Alan. You're essential to us. And
Thanks, Peggy.
next is my favorite poem in the world, better than Edgar Allan Poe or Keats or Shelley. And that's William Scott Galasso, who's published, I think, 16 books. And he sent us out Well, he'll tell you about how he does this. So Scott, welcome.
So I want to also thank Peggy and Nancy and Sunshine for all the extra work they do on our group's behalf. We couldn't do it without them, and they deserve to be acknowledged for everything they do. And so thank you all, ladies.
Well, of course, we couldn't do it without you. So thank you.
And for our books, when we get to our books, Marcia and Michael are going to be part of the team for editing the book. So we want to give them credit too.
Exactly. Right.
That's great. Okay, so first thing I want to say is that I did send basically what I'm going to talk about briefly here today. I did send an attachment that will cover all of the things I'm going to go through. Some of this, the old timers here who have heard me speak a couple times, I'm not going to repeat a lot of that information, just a little bit of it, but I do have some extra information and things I can refer you to that will be new. And then because we have an attachment, however Sunshine figures out she can get that to everybody, all this information will be on there, and that way you can make a copy, and whenever you need to refer to a particular subject that has to do with marketing or publishing, you'll already have the information. And I did that to make it easy for everybody so people wouldn't have to scramble and try and write things down. Okay. So Peggy, I know one of the things you went over today was that you asked about Vanity Publishing. I did my first 2 books with Vanity Publishers. And then after that, I did a number of them. I think it was probably about 10 or so, where I did I basically put them together and then took them to a printer and had them, bound up and printed. And then the last 4 I've done through Kindle. Okay, so a couple of things about that, and I'll go over them in a little bit more detail. I found that the Kindle was a good way to go because it's print on demand. You're not spending a ton of money to do it, and that's good when you're, when you want to get books out, when you don't want to have to wait for years and years to see if a major publisher gets back to you and then says, oh, sorry, we have somebody who's, Pulitzer Prize winner ahead of you. So, and then you've wasted all that time. So I believe in getting it, self-published that way, but Kindle is a good way to do it. Having said that, they all have their quirks. So in my case, what I've done is I kind of work with a team, and some of you will be familiar with the folks I'm going to mention. This is part of the new information, if you will. We have had, as several of you know, Susie Schaefer, who is a publisher in Colorado, who now lives in Temecula. She has got a publishing company called Finish the Book Publishing, and she's got a website that's www.finishthebookpublishing.com. On the attachment, all this information is in there, so don't worry about trying to write it down. I'm sure we'll be able to get it to you. But she's great because, number one, she has a lot of experience in editing publishing. She's been doing it for over 20 years. So she's a good resource in that sense. And, she's going to do a good job if you decide to work with her. Alan had mentioned also that he had done some artwork, but he wanted to do some of his own, but didn't know quite how to go about it. So there's another person I'd like to mention, and again, this information is in the attachment towards the back when it talks about additional resources, and that's Deanna Estes. She has a company called Lotus Design. So what I've chosen to do for my last 4 books that I put together that are now sold through Amazon, but done through Kindle, is I have Deanna do the covers, and she has worked for a long time with Susie, and so they understand each other. So when we're putting a book together, I look at them as my team. So Deanna does really great covers. I know this is kind of hard to see, but you might be able to get some idea. And then I also have, there we go. She's done those. And then she also did these covers for the last two books. This was for Legacy, and this was for Rough Cut, which were the last two books. She's great with these.
Back up.
Okay, well, there you go.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's Rough Cut, and this is Legacy. And then, you know, she does all the back covers as well, like that. Anyway, Deanna does a great job with getting the proper sizing for the text that works well with whatever you're putting in. In other words, whether it's a photograph or it's artwork, because she's done it with several of my books already. So I would highly recommend that. That if you're looking for somebody to do the editing or to do the art covers, those are both very fine people to work with. They're not inexpensive, but they're fair for what they do. And everybody says, as you've all heard this expression, don't judge a book by its cover. And guess what everybody actually does? If you don't like the cover, you probably won't even open the book. Okay. And if you don't have the right size type, you know, people are not going to look very closely at it either. So it is important to work with people who have that experience and can help you navigate that. I also wanted to mention, for people who may be doing memoirs, let's say you have about 50 books you want to get out. You don't want to spend a ton of money. So, but you want to have a nice quality print. Okay, so there's another one, a group called Instant Publisher. They can publish right off of your computer. Okay, for as little as $6 or $7 for 64 pages. That is a pretty good deal. Okay, and again, don't worry about writing it down. We will have this. It is in the attachment. And if you're doing something, say that you're doing memoirs for your family, but it's only for your family. You're not having to promote it, but you still want a nice job. They can do a really good job for you on the printing end, and they can give you perfect bound pictures and either color or black and white covers. Okay, wow. So those are people I wanted you to know about, and I want to make sure Dennis has time to do his bit. So I'm going to just cover a couple other little things, and then when you guys get to the attachment, then you could take your time and kind of read through that, because there's a lot of information there that will be useful for you. So I'm going to just go on now in order to give Dennis his time and just talk about a couple other additional resources. And I'm focusing on these because the other information we've talked about before. Some of the things to look forward, folks, no matter what genre you're writing in, is a couple local groups here. The OC Writers Group is a network. I'm just going to quote them. OC Writers is a network of published professional and aspiring writers, which offers workshops, meetups, and all you need to do is use your whatever your service provider is, and then just go OC Writers. That information will come up. You'll get to the page, and they explain everything that they do. And some of the people who are involved with that, by the way, are people that have actually come to our meetings and been our speakers. For instance, Deanna Cameron, Casey Dorman, Megan Haskell, and Greta Boris are all members of OC Writers. So if you're wondering who to talk to, they're great people, and they've already spoken with our group. The other one I want to mention is the Southern California Writers Conference. Again, they're based here. They have some meetings with obviously in Orange County. They have a major conference every year. And one other thing about the OC Writers is that they have a regular meeting that's like a 3-hour, you just sit down and write for like 3 hours at Patch Coffee in Lake Forest Park. So that they're close by, and that's another, if you can't work at home for whatever distractions are going on, you can go to Patch Coffee and write with other writers and then discuss your work. So I wanted you folks to know about these two resources because I think there's a lot to be offered there, and it means you don't have to look all over the internet to find out where to go. Okay? So having said that, the only other thing I'm going to say is if you do get it, that attachment, read it through because there is a lot of good information on it. I think it'll cover most of the subjects, whether it's publishing itself or marketing, that will be useful. And then once you get a hold of these other folks by going, doing the keyword and getting to their sites, they can give you a ton of information. And they're right here in our backyard. So I think it's very useful to know that. So having said that, I'm gonna let you read the attachment, and I want to give Dennis his chance to get on here because I just love what he talks about and I just want to hear him. And so thank you for listening to me for a few minutes. And again, the information is all on attachment, and enjoy that reading, and hopefully there'll be a lot that you want to learn about, and it'll be available.
Well, before
What I could do, Scott, what I could do for temporary anyhow, is when I send out the link, I'll send out your attachment, okay? And maybe,
thank you.
Maybe if it's not too much work for our person who's doing our website, I have an idea about what we could do, but I'll talk, but that's not my business right now. I don't want it, it's not set yet, okay?
No, I get it.
Well, and I want to say thank you so much to Scott because I took a wild stab at writing some poetry, and knowing that Scott was our PubClub poet extraordinaire, I asked him to review what he thought of some of the poems that I wrote, and oh my gosh, he gave me pages and pages of analysis, and it just has been excellent. And thank you very much, Scott, for that.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
And Sunshine, if you want to send that attachment, you could do that. I could easily do it right at the conclusion of this meeting if you want.
Oh, what do you want to do, honey?
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. That was brilliant. And
thank you.
Such important information. But before you go, please honor us with a poem.
Oh, okay. I'm just gonna grab a book here and then just read a couple of them because I don't want to take away from Dennis's time. So I'm just gonna read a few of them. And you probably heard them, but you might not remember them. And these are haikus, so they're short. Stone fence. Fossils tell stories of a bygone sea. Hard rain falling, and with it the sound of sizzling steaks. An old farmer waves with his pipe. Pocono summer. Scent of hay, swept away by summer rain. Summer breeze, as llamas graze, fur flutters. Distant mowers hum, warm winds riffle trees, buzz of cicadas. Okay, I'm getting off because I want to hear Dennis.
Thank you, thank you. I wouldn't want you not to do some haiku. You're the best. Next is Dennis Glauber, our Shakespearean author. And really, what would our village stories be without him? Every single issue has included him, and some say he's the best in village stories. So, adelante. Dennis?
I'd also like to add my compliments to Peggy, Sunshine, Nancy, all the people who put so much time in on this. I'm going to read 3 stories, pieces, all of which have been published in Village Stories over the years. I'll start with a little piece that went in 2017 called Reading from Right to Left. A short while ago, I was in Paris. More specifically, I was wandering joyfully on the banks of the River Seine. Even more specifically, I was glorying in the atmosphere of the left bank, the rive gauche. And not for the first time, I was led to ponder how the innocent French word for left has become the far from innocent English word gauche, implying clumsy, inept, ill at ease. It's a phenomenon in many languages that left is not just the opposite of right, but is inherently inferior. Just as gauche has that familiar deprecatory meaning in English, so does the French word droit, for right, have its admirable English derivative adroit, implying skill, accomplishment, capability. Go back to the original Latin words. Right in Latin is dexter, and we all know how desirable is the attribute of dexterity in any endeavor. The Latin word for left is sinister. And is there a less appealing or more threatening word in the English language than sinister? In German, the word for left, linkisch, has come to mean awkward. In Greek, left-handed skios has the connotation of ill-omened. In Mandarin Chinese, the word for left, zhuo, has come to mean out of accord or improper, and zhuo dao, meaning literally left path, stands for immoral or illegal means. The Yiddish language, too, is particularly rich in its negative allusions to the word for left, linker. Thus, linker schere is colloquial for stolen goods. Linker Liebe connotes an illicit love affair. Linker Geld is counterfeit money. And Aufstehen auf linker Seite means you got up on the wrong side of the bed, and all that that implies. The Bible generally, and Christianity in particular, are heavily biased towards the right hand. The psalmist calls for the right hand, not the left, to forget her cunning, if I forget thee, O Jerusalem. The right hand of the Lord is exalted, and it is the right hand that doeth valiantly. It is the right hand that makes the sign of the cross, and it is those at Christ's right hand who will inherit the kingdom of God. The idea is that right is simply better than left, pervades our language. All's right with the world. We're moving right along. I'll be right with you. All right? You know I'm right. Contrast all that with the poor folk who've been left behind to chew on leftovers. Who wants to receive a left-handed compliment? Well, the very idea comes out of left field. The final insult is that those remarkable people blessed with the ability to use both sides equally are called ambidextrous. The rarely used ambisinistrous compounds all that is negative. Some 80 years ago, when my eldest brother was of an age to begin learning to write, his natural left-handedness was subjected to vigorous correction in the mistaken belief that its built-in inferiority would be a lifelong disadvantage. Fortunately, those days are long past, and left-handedness is obviously no handicap in anybody's life. Shed no tears for Phil Mickelson or for Rafael Nadal or John McEnroe. Interestingly, left-handedness seems to be a positive asset in certain highly skilled activities, such as computer science. Not only was Alan Turing, the father of computer science, a left-hander, but so is Bill Gates, and also 4 of the 5 designers of the original Macintosh computer. Reputedly, 1 in 4 NASA astronauts is a lefty, which is a disproportionately high percentage. And let us not forget, pardon? And let us not forget that Harry S. Truman, Gerald Ford, Ronald Reagan, Bill Clinton, and Barack Obama are just some of the many lefties who made it right to the top. As a born and bred right-hander, why, you may ask, do I harp on this topic? Could I be a closet lefty? No, perhaps it's because I just want to show my heart's in the right place on the left. After all, even lefties are covered by the Bill of Rights.
That's great, Dennis.
A much shorter piece was in the 2020 Village Stories called Accentuate the Positive. When I was a youngster in the 1940s, one of the enduring hit songs was the Johnny Mercer ballad made popular by Bing Crosby and the Andrews Sisters, Accentuate the Positive. The lyrics went on to say, eliminate the negative. Well, in this complaint of mine about the weird and wonderful usages of the English language, I'm not asking for the elimination of the negative. I'm just calling for an even playing field. Why are there so many examples of the negative in everyday usage? Why shouldn't I be able to say that Sunshine's attire is always cheveled? Or that Peggy's appearance is invariably kempt? Or that the tilt of Ellen's cap is at all times just so completely wry? If my faith in somebody or something proves to be perfectly justified, surely I should be able to express how illusioned I am. And if intricate and complicated arrangements work out exactly as planned, I would love to praise everyone involved and tell them how concerted I am. If something really, really great happens, say at the polls in November, wouldn't we all celebrate in a state of pure, joyful May? When things really add up and the problem has vanished into thin air, I claim the right to feel totally combobulated. And when you can echo the poet Robert Browning, that all's right with the world, then you should proudly proclaim that you feel truly, truly gruntled. And if you believe positively that I have wittingly stumbled onto something in the right direction, then join me in shouting out to the world, we will be uptrodden. And the third one I want to read was published in 2016, The Power of Three. My book group has recently been engaged in a fascinating work of fiction. It's a historical novel written in 3 parts and featuring 3 protagonists living in the same area of Provence in 3 different eras: the declining Roman Empire of the 5th century, waiting for the barbarians, the mid-14th century of the Black Death and the papal exile from Rome, and finally, the turbulent first half of the 20th century. The legacies and impact of the 3 heroes and the interweaving of their lives and times demands and receives fine writing. I couldn't help noticing that some of that fine writing derives from the author's penchant for using phrases, clauses, or words in clusters of 3, or triads. He does this again and again and again. But let me cite just a few examples. She had comforted him, reassured him, stilled his heart. His father had been foolish, too trusting, too merciful. When to give, how to give, what to give, and compete for favor, influence, and fortune. Now, was it my own preoccupation with the prevalence of 3s in our consciousness that made lines like these leap off the page? Or has the author tapped into a rhythm that is basic to our lives, a rhythm that is natural, pleasing, and harmonious? So let me expand on what I call the power of 3. We could begin with the biblical patriarchs, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the matriarchs, Sarah, Rebecca, and Leah, and then go on to the Holy Trinity of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And we need no reminding of the number of magi who attended that particular birth. But long before the Christian tradition, Classical mythology provided us with the three graces, the three furies, the three fates, to which late 20th century culture added the three tenors. Consider some of the phrases which have become an integral part of our language and culture. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Of the people, by the people, for the people. Hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil. 3 cheers for the red, white, and blue. And each cheer is itself a triad of hip, hip, hurrah. 3 strikes and you're out. Hook, line, and sinker. Bell, book, and candle. Nina, Pinta, and Santa Maria. Bed, bath, and beyond. And of course, the triples are not just in English. Liberté, égalité, fraternité. Veni, vidi, vici, e pluribus unum, in vino veritas. The impact of the power of 3 on all of us begins even before we're born. The 9-month period of gestation is divided into 3 trimesters. It continues as we learn our A, B, C's and move on to the 3 R's. Our nursery rhymes introduced us to the 3 blind mice, Goldilocks and the 3 bears, the big bad wolf and the 3 little piggies. And what parent didn't get us to tidy our rooms or perform some chore by threatening, I'm just going to count to 3. And when I say we, I mean all of us. Every Tom, Dick, and Harry. You, and you. Yes, you, the long and the short and the tall. And yes, you, the good, the bad, and the ugly. The butcher, the baker, the candlestick maker. Not forgetting the waiter, the porter, and the upstairs maid. Didn't we all laugh with the 3 Stooges and thrill with the 3 Musketeers? Didn't we all hope to find the magic lamp with the genie who would grant us 3 wishes? And is there a jockey, a trainer, or an owner who doesn't dream of winning the Triple Crown, the Derby, the Belmont, the Preakness? Has there ever been a swimmer, a skater, or a sprinter who has not aspired to the triad of gold, silver, or bronze at the Olympic Games? The Olympics, whose motto is just 3 words, Citius, Altius, Fortius, Latin for faster, higher, stronger. The power of 3 pervades our culture morning, noon, and night. Take Shakespeare's Macbeth, opens with the 3 witches, intoning when will we 3 meet again, but also has the 3 murderers and the 3 apparitions to further the plot, and Lady Macbeth's plot. And of course, there's always tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. Take Mozart's Magic Flute, has the 3 ladies who punished Papageno for lying, the 3 boys who lead our heroes to Sarastro and to the 3 temples dedicated to wisdom, reason, and nature, as well as the ordeal of the 3 trials before the inevitable happy ending. Classical music leans heavily on sonata form, with its 3 parts of exposition, development, and recapitulation. In the world of art, at Sotheby's auction in New York back in 2013, a record 142 million bought, what else but a triptych. It was by Francis Bacon, 3 studies of Lucian Freud. And no doubt the auctioneer used the traditional going for the first time, going for the second, and going for the third and last. The Russians call it a troika, ruled by 3, or 3 horses in harness. Pre-imperial Rome in its heyday was ruled not by 1, but by 2 triumvirates at different times. And similarly, post-revolutionary France was ruled by a 3-man consulate before one of them decided to make the country over in his own Napoleonic image. So the power of 3 is so ingrained as to be almost part of our DNA. DNA. Now there's the 3-letter abbreviation for our era. So adieu, farewell, and adios to those 3-letter buzzwords of bygone eras, DDT, LSD, and the unlamented KKK. Well, for sending me off in 3 directions, I have to say that my admiration for author Ian Pearce is genuine, enthusiastic, and boundless. And as for the book itself, well, all in all, if truth be told, as a matter of fact, The Dream of Scipio is educational, erudite, and entertaining. And I am Dennis Teddy Glauber. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent.
That's great,
That
Dennis.
was a trifecta.
Yeah, exactly.
See, and also Dennis is a host for the Performing Arts Center, their music series. His wife, Yvette, and he are hosts. So you can see him there once a month. But also, Dennis knows that the best gift is a book. And it's usually village stories.
Mm-hmm.
So,
right.
Yeah. Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Yes. He's one trifecta of a member. Anyway, before we leave, I want to talk about the author forum. Something like, I think Nancy will tell us, but only about 4 people have signed up. This is, you know, if you did this for the book festival, the LA Book Festival, it's like $1,000. This $15. Make sure you, and $15 goes to our favorite charity. So make sure you sign up for the author forum, which is Wednesday, March 16th, 2 to 5, on the veranda of Clubhouse 2. You'll get your own table. So no problem about COVID. So sign up, don't forget. It's a perfect place. Also, we're gonna have a podium. It's kind of Socratic, a beautiful podium right there on the veranda where you'll be able to talk about your writing and what motivates you, and talk about that. What greater writing coach than Dennis Glauber? But anyway, so sign up for the forum, and Nancy will talk to us a minute or two also about submissions. I think we have 21 so far. And before we go, if anyone would like to announce a new book, a member, whatever, we're here for you. So, Nancy.
Yes, thank you, Peggy. Well, I have good news. We do have 6 people that have signed up for the March Author Forum. 3 of those people have signed up also for the October Forum. So again, I know there's some very talented authors here in the Pub Club. And, you know, even people like myself who've only published 1 book, for $15, what a great way to advertise your 1 book or your 30 books, however many you've published. And on the website, there is a flyer of the author forum, and as well as the membership. So those of you who may not be members yet, or you know someone who wants to be a member, those forms are on our website, and you simply mail your check along with the form to me, since I'm treasurer and membership chair, and I will take care of enrolling you. If I may just say something about membership, we currently have 50 members in our club, 50. So that is amazing. And that includes 14 brand new members to this club this year. So congratulations to all of you who have talked about the Pub Club to others and have gotten them to sign up. So that's great. Along with the village stories, I still have 8 copies that I kind of reserve for those new members. But if any of you want to give a copy of Village Stories 2021 as a gift to somebody, let me know and we can make arrangements to get those to you. They will also be available at the author forum, where we will have the club will have a table of books available for sale. I know Peggy and there's some others that have past years Village Stories copies, as well as other books that the club will be selling. So take advantage of that. With regards to the website, I think I said before, we have a new webmaster who is wonderful and making a valiant attempt to update all the various elements of the website. So please check it out. One of the things that I want to encourage those of you to do who may not have your name, photo, bio, or books listed on the website, and you want to do that, please send that information to me and we will make sure that you become part of our website. And I'll send out an email letting you know how to do that. What am I missing, Peggy? Anything else?
I think that's it. To update, should our authors send the information to the Pub Club? Where did they send their
They said, very good question. Please do send it to PubClubLW at gmail.com. PubClubLW at gmail.com is our, yeah, it's Gmail, gmail.com.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, send it there.
Thank you, Nancy. That was extremely valuable information. Now, we need help making flyers and posters. So if you're willing to help us, please step up. We also need suggestions for speakers for our meetings. Of course, you know, March and October and September are taken, but the other months are available. So if you'd like to speak or can recommend someone who you think would be beneficial to our club, please.
Okay, Peggy,
Step forward.
may I ask a question, please?
Sure.
I know it is late, but it's a very trivial, and I know it may not be that important for you, but I'm just looking for some kind of information about, because one of the pictures I have, it was long ago. It is a faded picture, but it's going to be part of my story, which I would like, I'm writing right now for 2022. And so in the village, maybe perhaps Nancy would know, or somebody who can just clear that picture, and so I can put that picture in the story somehow.
Oh, yeah. Send it as an attachment to your story. Can
Okay.
you do that?
Okay.
Yeah, send it. If you need my help I'll go over there and attach it for you.
Okay, I will do that.
And
Thank you so much.
if you have a particular place where you would like to have that picture placed, just tell us. We need to know when you send it in the email.
But first of all, the reason I was hesitant because I wanted to be sure that it is clear enough for the reader to see the picture.
Yeah, Di, I wanted to recommend that if you weren't sure about the quality of it, they can take old photos now and make them like new by computerizing. They take out all the cracks if it's an old. So if you go to a photographer, a studio, they can correct it.
Where should I go? Where should I go?
Just go to a professional photographer that, just look up, who's ever sells cameras. And they can tell you what places will do that because they can clean up really old photos now. It's kind of like they do where they restore film. They can do the same thing for an individual picture. So if you're worried about the resolution and you go to a camera shop, they can either do it themselves or they can tell you where to go.
Scott and Di, this is Fred Cantor. I have another suggestion that may not cost you a dime. In the village, there is the Camera Club, which I belonged to at one point. And I thought they told me that they actually have the capability there, or there are members who have the capability on their computers. In fact, one did one for me, taking a picture and cleaning it up. So
there you go, Fred. That's a good idea. That would save Diane money, but also would be able to have better quality for whatever way she wants to print it or use it.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
Camera Club. Thanks, Fred.
And I don't know for sure that Costco does it, but Costco has a camera and a center, and I think that you could ask if they.
So it is Camera Club at the Laguna Woods, right?
I would go there first. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you, Fred. Very much.
Scott, if there's
let's make a date and go together, because I've got pictures too. So I'll call you. Yeah. I'll call you. So
it has been a wonderful, very, very nice program today.
Yeah.
Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Fred.
Any suggestions?
May I say something? I thought Fred's idea of the Camera Club was wonderful. I had all my photos from my memoirs book scanned there. They have up-to-date equipment. They're very, very helpful. Right here in the village.
Perfect.
So by all means, contact.
Wonderful.
I can't think of the president of the Camera Club right now, but but you can get that easily. And that's a very good resource.
All right, thank you. I'm so glad I asked this question here. I was hesitant and I said, so many wonderful things going on. What I'm going to ask here.
And related to that, it's Fred again. The video club is also just a tremendous resource. And related to that, they do periodically, and I don't know if you've been asked this at a previous publishing club meetings, they periodically look for stories to film, to do shorts of. And I don't know if they call it a quote unquote a contest, but they have a selection committee that picks, and then they go and film it. So for those of you, I mean, I know people like to see their stories in print, but some people here might think it could be exciting to have a short story, up on the silver screen, so to speak. And again, if you just look at their website, it's a periodic search that they have for those stories. And related to that, they also, or they did, I don't know if they still have, they do this kind of radio or audio presentations of stories. And they look for stories to do. And I think they were doing it at Christmas time, but it's just another potential outlet for stories. And it doesn't cost you a dime. In other words, they're not looking to charge anybody. They're just looking for content.
That's wonderful.
So,
thank you. Thank you
yeah,
so
I just want to
much.
throw that out there too.
Yeah.
Maybe I should put my, hold on, let me start video. So I've just been flying here in the dark, so I don't want to
Sure.
freak people out.
Yes.
So that's just a suggestion.
Thank you for being a spokesperson for them.
I just finished Fred's book. I'm not a sports fan, and that was fascinating. Thank you, Fred. Good book.
Very much, very much.
Fred from
thank you, Peggy. I appreciate that.
Yes. Nice.
And did you learn anything new about me? It was PG rated. I just want to say that. So it's all ages.
Right. Fascinating. What did you write all these statistics during your life? I mean, you know the game so like the palm of your hand.
Well, and I think this is something, it's a recommendation for anyone doing memoirs. Memories can play tricks on you. So in the course of doing that, I did a lot of research to verify certain memories or jog certain memories, or in a couple of cases, it turns out whatever I envisioned was not quite accurate. And I mean, I was able to do that because a lot of this was built around sports events for which I could actually go back and look online at contemporaneous accounts in the newspapers, or look even at historical TV footage. With any kind of memoir, and also just to verify, even, believe it or not, the weather on certain dates, that I knew something happened on the next date, and this is the way I remembered it. So for any of you, if you want to kind of fact check yourself on memoirs, it's that's just a way of doing it. But thank you again for reading it. And I gather you're not a Knicks fan, so I enjoy. I appreciate you.
Know who the Knicks were.
Yeah, wow.
The only basketball team I'd ever heard of were the Lakers.
Yes, well, a lot. It's a much more interesting team to write about, in all probability. But as you can see from the book, I married someone who's not a sports fan, so I've made certain compromises in my life.
Well,
that was good.
So,
I also just want to respond to something Phil had on the chat room, which is about publishers who accept unsolicited manuscripts. And my suggestion in that regard is, because I have done that, is to look at the publishers of books that you've enjoyed. And if you think you're writing in that genre, you can then look up information on them, on their websites in this day and age. There used to be something years ago called the Writer's Market. I don't know if that book still exists.
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so that also is information. But just for example, for this Knicks memoir, I do read sports books. I do buy sports books. And this was during the pandemic, so I couldn't go into the bookstore and look, but I looked online at various books out there and who the publishers were. And of course, then I remembered, yes, I do know those publishers. I even have a couple of those publications in my library. And there were basically three major sports publishers, and I looked them up and found out that they all accepted unsolicited manuscripts, and then got the contact information. And I queried one and got an answer back in the day that they wanted to see the manuscript. And then, I think I told this story or maybe I did or maybe didn't when I spoke. They told me they liked the manuscript, but not enough, that if I had to be someone who was a name, it had to be really special, because I'm not a big name. And it was at that point that I decided to look at the KDP Amazon model instead of trying to even solicit the other two publishers. But what I'm trying to say is, yes, I found out the information of how they accept it, what they're looking for in a query, and who the contact person is. And so, for anyone who's considering contacting a publisher, I would look at, for whatever genre you're writing in, who publishes the books that you like, and then you can find out. And as I think Scott said, of course, if you are so fortunate as to get it accepted by a publisher, it takes a long time to be in the pipeline. So that's something else for you to think about versus KDP.
That's such good advice. I was wondering that myself. Such good advice. Thank you for it. So if there are no more questions, no one else wants to comment, I guess our meeting is through, finished, all done, as Dennis would say.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank all of you for attending, and see you at the Author Forum on the 16th of March. Beautiful place. Please join us.
And I have already sent out Scott's resources to the membership.
Thank you, Nancy. Thank
Sure.
you. Okay, so with no further ado, thanks for joining us, and see you soon.